Well, good morning. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. How are you all today? I'm Steve Smith, for anybody who doesn't know, who just wandered by, and it's good to have you. Look at this rain. My kind of day. And we're going to kind of talk about that. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? We're going to talk about change the way you think, and you're going to change the way you live, or change your life. But before we get there, by the way, welcome to all the new people, all the new people who have joined both on YouTube and Patreon. I'm just getting a whole bunch of people. I just put one up over on Patreon. If you're not with us yet on Patreon, it was an answer to one of our patrons' questions. What do I think about drones, robots, and AI? It was a good question. And we have some super smart people on the Patreon side. I hope you can hear me. It's getting pretty loud here. We have some super smart people over on the Patreon side. I can't claim to know a lot about that subject, but I did talk about it, and it allowed me to throw it out to the group, who I know will be answering a lot. We got some very, very smart technological people over there. When you come join, and by the way, the link is down below. It's only $1 a month, and or if you're already with us over there, remember to check the community section regularly, because that's where our really, really top level people post a lot of information all the time. Tom Usher has done stuff on oil lamps, and it's a lot more complicated than most people think, and a lot better than most people think. Mike Hoskins has done some on EMP, a wonderful contribution, understanding everything about. Even though I wrote the books about EMP, by the way, if you don't know me, I'm the author of the Stonemont series, The Reversion, the Revival, the Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune. And the links are down below. You can get my books on Amazon or through our website, stonemont.us. But even though I wrote books about it, my books were general. It was mainly about preparing for and surviving. I didn't get into a lot of the science behind it, because I'll be honest, I don't know a lot of the science behind it. That's not really. It's not something that concerned me or interested me. What interested me was grids down, how do I survive, right? But I think it's really interesting. We have some super smart people over there who have put up a lot of information on it. So if you're with us on Patreon, or when you join us on Patreon, make sure you check the community section. You'll be glad that you did. So, did I say also we're in Gatlinburg? This is our last day in Gatlinburg. We love Gatlinburg, Tennessee. We've been down here for a while. I'm probably going to put something up. We took a drive down through the Smokies. I'll probably put that on the Patreon channel too for people to see. Did the sky lift down into Gatlinburg? I put that over there on Patreon. It's kind of neat to watch. We're headed over to Chattanooga later today. Looking forward to that. I wonder if they say there's been a lot of flooding around here. Gatlinburg's got about 6 inches of rain overnight, and they say more's coming. So I don't know if we'll have any, roads out or blocked or whatever. But we'll do the best we can, right? That's what preparedness is all about. So I hope that you can see this and enjoy it. What this, as I was going back through my list of, because I keep a list in my Stonemont notebook. I keep a list of all the things that come to me, or the questions that people have, and things that I think about that I want to do videos on. So I was going through my list, and I said, here's one that would fit in perfectly with today, and it is change your thinking, change your life. Preparedness is, by its nature, pessimistic, right? Some people would think about that. I don't think about it that way, but I've had people say, well, preparedness, by its very nature, is pessimistic because you're planning for bad things to happen, and you're planning, for all sorts of problems, and so you're consumed with these thoughts of bad stuff. I suppose, and I think a lot of people do come at it from that perspective, because a lot of people that I talk to, a lot of other channels that I watch, it is pretty negative. It is pretty negative. It's all about this bad thing happening, and how horrible it's going to be, and all that. Well, I get that, but that shouldn't be. That should be the starting point, not the ending point. Okay. And I answered somebody not long ago. I don't remember who it was, but they were talking about fear as being the motivator, and I answered them. And I said, I don't look at it as fear, excuse me, nor do I look at it as from a negative standpoint. I look at it just the same way I look at like an exam in school, a business plan, proposition, a trip. Okay, we're on a trip far from home. I look at it as a situation as opposed to a problem. A situation that then calls for me to prepare for it. An exam, a math exam. I hated math, but a math exam or a history exam, whatever kind of exam, you study for it. And that's all it is. You don't say here's a problem. You say here's the situation and the solution to this situation or problem is to prepare. Either study the material, which is the first place you should start with preparedness. Study the material. Think about it. What would it take for you to survive this, and this? When I wrote my books, excuse me just a second. Pardon me. I wrote my books about the collapse of the world after a CME, and as I thought about it, based on many years of experience of my own. For those of you who don't know me, I've been in preparedness for almost 50 years, and if you count back to when I first got my little preparedness gears going in the Cub Scouts. We're talking more like 60 years. I've been in this stuff 60 years. Always had a preparedness mindset. So it wasn't anything that came crashing into me. That when the preparedness movement really started to grow, I said, isn't that cool? Other people are getting interested in this now too. So it's just kind of, so when I wrote my books, I did it from that perspective. Okay, let's in order to teach, and I mainly wrote my books to teach people, but in the form of a novel, which became so far 6 novels, and I'm working on the 7th now, because people would rather learn by reading a story. I mean, reading a textbook, that's kind of dry. Do this, do that. Here's a list of stuff to get. That can be, and there's some good books out there like that, but it's not the way that I write. And so I decided I want to talk about this. I want to teach this in the form of a story that people are going to enjoy reading. And as it turned out, good Lord bless me, and thousands of people around the world have read it and learned from it. And I have people. I don't know if I said you can get my books from links down below, either on Amazon or from my website, stonemont.us. The links are down below. And so people have been learning from them for a long time. I have people that said they've read through the whole series 5 times, and every time they read through the series, they learn something new, something that they missed the first 4 times. So I guess read them at least 6 times. But so when I came at my books, I decided to do it in teaching in a novel format, not meaning new, but in a novel, a story. Because people pick stuff up like that and it helps them to learn. But I did it also, I had seen that there were books out there that really were negative. I mean, it's just all about all the terrible things that happen. Not that you can't learn from, terrible things, because you learn by saying, well, I don't want that to happen to me. So what should I do about it? But I came at it from the perspective of a very positive. As a matter of fact, the foreword of the Reversion, the first book, he said, John Livingston, I was thinking of somebody else there, Middleton, said it's a, how did he put it? I forget. It's an amazingly positive story about an amazingly negative situation or something like that. Well, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to come at it from a more positive perspective. And so instead of writing about people who had something bad happen and they weren't prepared, and so we watched them go through their learning curve and a lot of horrible things happening, I came at it from the perspective of a man and his family who were prepared. And based it pretty much on me, on my life, on my experiences, on my that, and who as a result of their preparedness, not only were able to continue to live a great life, but were able to help other people who they ran across, and then actually project that help out into the world around them as a result of their preparedness. And this is the reflection in my mind, is the perfect reflection of whether you come at this subject of preparedness from a negative or a positive standpoint. And I prefer coming at anything from a positive standpoint. No matter how bad something sucks, you can handle it and learn from it and come out the other side better, stronger, smarter, whatever. And so it really is a matter of perspective. Are you preparing from fear? You shouldn't be. Or are you preparing saying, I realize that the realities of the world is that life changes. The world changes. Throughout history, the world has its ups and downs. Good times, bad times, good times, bad times. People have a tendency during bad times to think that good times will never come again. And during good times, they have a tendency to think that bad times will never come again. Well, they will. History shows us that. And if you're not preparing for the bad times during the good times, well, then you're setting yourself up to fail. It's the old story of Joseph in Egypt. And I've talked about that. That story is quite a bit different than most people think. I won't go into it right now, but it is a lesson. We've been living through some pretty good times, and for those people who have used it, taken the opportunity to prepare, hopefully not out of fear, but out of a positivism by saying, our catchphrase, excuse me just a second. I'm sorry, morning. All right. Our tagline that I always say at the end of every video is we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow, right? Maybe that'll help. Well, today is now. Today is today. And today we want to be preparing well. Okay, we don't want to be preparing fearfully. We want to be preparing well with a clear eye, a clear mind, a plan in our head about what will we need in order to do what? To continue to live well after whatever problem may come our way. And that's what it is. Look at your life now and say, okay, this is the life I'm living now. I like it, or maybe I don't like it. I want to live better, whatever. If everything fell apart, if a CME struck, like, we're going through a very active solar cycle right now. It's solar cycle number 25. I keep reading things. I can't swear to it, but I read it, that we should have, it looks like some say that we are approaching the most active part of this solar cycle sooner than they expected. Solar cycles are 11 years long. They go up, they go down. Little activity, big activity, little activity. Well, apparently we're reaching that crest a year or two sooner than they expected, than usually happens. What does that mean? Who knows? But we've had, a number of solar flares lately that, well, it's very active. It could bring down You know, the world today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, whatever. We don't know, and that's what happened in my book. But how you approach that is paramount. You're not going to be able to have an effect on that. You can't stop it any more than you can stop, you know, the collapse of the financial system, or inflation, or what's happening at the border, or them trying to get us into a world war over in Ukraine. You can't stop it. What you can do is prepare yourself to continue to live a quality life no matter what happens. And the sad thing about so many people involved in preparedness, and I have to question whether they really are the ones who say, well, you know, it's all going to collapse. There's nothing you can do. Your fiat currency isn't going to be worth anything. It's all going to hell. And we get those comments here every now and then, you know, if you think that you're going to be, you know. Well, there's a lot of negativity out there. And I'll be real honest, I don't really consider those people preppers or preparedness-minded people, because they're apparently not prepping. Or they're prepping just to survive as opposed to live. You know, when we build our lives in the normal world like we're living in now, we do it with thought toward increasing our quality of life as the years go by. And I don't see why you shouldn't do that, no matter what happens. Just like in my books, the Stone Mount series, you should. Just because everything falls apart doesn't mean you have to go back and live like a caveman. You know, I have no desire to I can live as rough as you want. I have, but it's not my preference. It's why I don't now, and why would I want to if everything fell apart? I want to keep living well as possible, and you will live as well as you prepare to live. That's what the whole thing is. And it all starts up here. You know, we hear a lot about mindset. Yeah, and I won't argue with that, but, you know, let's get away from the t-shirt thinking and say, and get into it in a little more constructive way. Yeah, mindset, you can take the suck, you can take this, you know, embrace the suck, all that. I know all that stuff. Let's stop with the platitudes and say you need to think positively, aggressively positively, actively positively, and get your head in offense, not constantly be in defense, just waiting for everything to go horrible and thinking there's nothing you can do about it, right? This day to day, I'm sure that it's ruined a lot of people's plans. It made my day better because I love the rain, right? Did I say now that I'd like to go out there and walk in the woods and this stuff? I love this stuff. But it all depends on where your head's at, right? If you can embrace the different things in life. You know, I've always said, if you can function well in an environment, whether it's a weather, people, the world, if you can function well in an environment that makes other people uncomfortable, you're so far ahead of the game. You know, I mean, that's what it's all about. No matter what it is, you're functioning well, properly, and with a positive attitude. This rain, it doesn't suck. It's beautiful. It's just something to deal with, right? It's the thing we have today, and you know, short term we can look at it. Well, we can either let it ruin our day, or we can go out there and do the things that rain gives us opportunity to do. And it's the same with preparedness. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Change your mind and change your life. It's all about how you see things, you know. There's an old saying that, you know, 90% of life is, or 10% is, I forget, some small percent, let's say 10%. 10% is what you make it, and 90% is how you take it. I won't agree with that totally. I think a lot more should be what you make it. But there's some truth in there. It's just how you take it. Don't go through life with a negative attitude. Don't go through life with an attitude of fear and, oh my gosh, what's going to happen and all this. Get out there and say, what can I do to make my life better no matter what is going on? And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a beautiful rainy drive from here to Chattanooga a little bit later. We love driving in the rain, and I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, I'm going to put up a couple of others over on Patreon. If you're not with us on Patreon, come join us. Like I say, the link is right down below. It's only $1 a month, and you're going to get so much more over there than you do on the YouTube channel, both from me and from so many of our patrons over there. Super smart people. So I'm going to jump off here and go in and see if the rest of the tribe is awake, and have a little breakfast and enjoy this rainy day, and undoubtedly a beautiful drive through southeastern Tennessee to Chattanooga. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. You all have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.